Every type of UFC fight style explained. Grappling Dominant. The grappling dominant fighter does not care about standing with you. The moment the fight starts, they are looking to close the distance, clinch, take you down, and keep you on the ground. Everything they do on the feet is designed to set up the takedown. Their jabs are rangefinders. Their feints are entries. The punch is not the weapon. The punch is the door. Khabib Nurmagomedov was the ultimate grappling dominant fighter. His record was 29-0. He retired undefeated as the UFC lightweight champion. Khabib did not just take people down. He made them quit from the pressure. He would chain wrestle, transition to back control, and smother opponents with ground and pound that never stopped. He mauled Conor McGregor. He submitted Dustin Poirier. He triangle choked Justin Gaethje. Every single one of those men was a world-class striker, and none of them could keep the fight standing for more than a round. Islam Makhachev carries that same style forward. He is 28-1 with 16 consecutive wins. He has a double champ holding belts at lightweight and welterweight. His grappling is so suffocating that opponents start panicking the moment he touches them because they know once he has a grip, the round is over. Damian Maia was the purest example of this style at welterweight. His record was 28-11, but his style was singular. He wanted the fight on the ground, and he wanted your back. If he got behind you, the fight was done. He submitted everyone from Chael Sonnen to Rick Story to Matt Brown. 7 consecutive wins at welterweight, all by submission or dominant decision. Pure jiu-jitsu translated into MMA at the highest level. Stand-up dominant. The stand-up dominant fighter wants nothing to do with the ground. They are kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters, or pure boxers who have crossed over into MMA and built their game entirely around keeping the fight on the feet. Their takedown defense is elite, not because they drill wrestling every day, but because they have to keep the fight where they are most dangerous. Israel Adesanya is the textbook stand-up dominant fighter. His record is 24-4. He was the UFC middleweight champion with 5 consecutive title defenses. Adesanya came from a kickboxing background with over 75 professional kickboxing bouts. In the octagon, he uses distance management, timing, and counter-striking that makes opponents miss by millimeters and pay for every mistake. He almost never initiates grappling. He does not need to. His movement, feints, and ability to read rhythm make him one of the most technically advanced strikers in UFC history. Alex Pereira is the opposite kind of stand-up dominant. Where Adesanya is surgical, Pereira is devastating. He comes forward, throws hooks that can end the fight at any moment, and trusts his power to carry him through exchanges. He knocked out Adesanya at UFC 281 with a standing TKO in the 5th round. He has knocked out Yuri Prochazka twice. He is a 2-division champion at middleweight and light heavyweight. His striking comes from professional kickboxing, where he was a glory middleweight champion. Pure power, translated into MMA, technical god. The technical god is the fighter who makes everything look effortless. They are not the hardest hitters. They are not the best wrestlers, but they understand the sport at such a deep level that they always seem to be 3 moves ahead of their opponent. Every strike has a purpose. Every movement has a reason. Nothing is wasted. Georges St-Pierre was the original technical god. His record was 26-2. He held the welterweight championship across 2 separate reigns and retired as one of the greatest fighters of all time. GSP was not the most powerful striker. He was not the most dangerous grappler, but he was the smartest fighter in every single bout. He would study his opponents for months, develop a specific game plan for each one, and then execute it flawlessly. Against Josh Koscheck, he used his jab for 5 rounds, and Koscheck could not figure it out. Against BJ Penn, he used pressure wrestling. Against Jake Shields, he used distance striking. He was a different fighter in every fight because he tailored his approach to exploit whatever weakness his opponent had. John Jones is another technical god. His record is 28-1 with 1 no contest. He used his 84.5-inch reach, oblique kicks, spinning elbows, and unorthodox angles to dismantle every single fighter the UFC put in front of him. He beat Daniel Cormier twice. He beat Alexander Gustafsson. He beat Shogun Rua for the title at 23 years old. Nobody has ever figured out how to beat John Jones in a fair fight because his understanding of range, timing, and technique is beyond anything the sport has seen. Pressure fighter. The pressure fighter walks forward and never stops. They do not wait for openings. They create them by overwhelming their opponent with volume, pace and aggression that never lets up. Fighting a pressure fighter feels like drowning. You can land clean shots, you can circle away, you can try to reset, but they keep coming. And eventually, the pace breaks you.
Justin Gaethje is the definition of a pressure fighter. His record is 25-5. He has earned a post-fight bonus in nearly every UFC appearance because every fight he is in is violent. He throws leg kicks that compromise mobility. He throws hooks that carry genuine knockout power. And he walks through punishment to deliver his own. He absorbs over 7 significant strikes per minute, which is one of the highest rates in lightweight history. But he also lands at a rate that makes every exchange terrifying. Max Holloway is pressure in a different form. His record is 26-8. He was the featherweight champion with 3 consecutive title defenses. Holloway does not have one-punch knockout power, but his volume is absurd. He threw 746 significant strikes against Calvin Kattar, which is the most in a single UFC fight in history. He overwhelms opponents with combinations that never stop. By the 4th and 5th rounds, his opponents are exhausted, and Holloway is still fresh. He breaks people with pace. Brawler. The Brawler does not care about technique. They do not care about game plans. They walk into the cage, put their hands up, and swing until somebody falls. Defense is optional. Strategy is a suggestion. The Brawler is there to fight, and if they get hit 10 times, they will hit you back 11. Robbie Lawler in his prime was the ultimate brawler. His record is 29-15 with 1 no contest. He won the welterweight championship, and his title fights were some of the most violent in UFC history. His fight against Rory MacDonald at UFC 189 is considered one of the greatest bouts ever. Lawler was cut open, bleeding, and getting outworked for 3 rounds. Then, in the 5th round, he exploded and broke MacDonald's nose so badly that the fight was stopped. That is what a brawler does. They absorb punishment, survive, and then catch you with 1 moment of violence that changes everything. Diego Sanchez was a brawler with a heart that defied logic. His record was 30-14. He won 23 of his 32 UFC bouts by decision because he was never dangerous enough to finish elite opponents, but never vulnerable enough to get finished himself. He just walked forward through everything, throwing until the bell. His fight against Clay Guida is still one of the most entertaining bouts in UFC history. 2 men throwing with no regard for defense for 3 rounds straight. Counter-striker. The counter-striker is patient. They do not lead. They do not push forward. They wait. They let their opponent make the first move, and then they make them pay for it. Every strike a counter-striker throws is a reaction to something their opponent did wrong. A missed jab becomes a straight right. An overextended hook becomes a check hook and exit. The counter-striker turns their opponent's aggression into a weapon against them. Conor McGregor at his peak was the most devastating counter-striker the sport has ever seen. His record is 22-6. He knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds at UFC 194 with a single left-hand counter that ended a decade-long reign at featherweight. He knocked out Eddie Alvarez in the 2nd round at UFC 205 to become the first simultaneous 2-division champion in UFC history. McGregor's left hand was always loaded, and he had the ability to read rhythm and timing so precisely that opponents would walk straight into it. He did not chase people. He let them come to him, and then he hit them with something they never saw. Lyoto Machida was a counter-striker built from karate. His record was 26-11. He used a stance that most MMA fighters had never seen before, standing almost sideways with his feet wide, bouncing in and out of range. Opponents could not find him. They would throw and hit air. Then Machida would explode forward with a straight punch or a crane kick, and they would be on the floor before they understood what happened. His knockout of Randy Couture and his front kick knockout of Vitor Belfort are 2 of the most spectacular finishes in UFC history. Decision Merchant. The Decision Merchant wins fights, but nobody wants to watch them do it. They fight to the scorecards. They take minimal risks. They do just enough to win rounds without ever putting themselves in danger. Every round looks the same. Control the center, land a few jabs, maybe get a takedown and hold position for 60 seconds. Nothing flashy, nothing exciting, just enough to get the nod from the judges. Bilal Muhammad is the modern face of the Decision Merchant. His record is 23-3 with 1 no contest. He won the welterweight championship by beating Leon Edwards by unanimous decision at UFC 304. The fight was not exciting. Bilal used his wrestling to control Edwards against the fence, stacked up control time, and won rounds through activity rather than damage. He is an excellent fighter. He is extremely effective, and most fans would rather watch paint dry than sit through 5 rounds of his title fights. The decision merchant wins, but the crowd loses. It is the most effective and least entertaining style in the sport. Psycho. The psycho is the fighter who scares people before the fight even starts. They fight with an intensity and recklessness that makes you wonder if they actually care about their own safety. They throw strikes that should not work. They walk through punishment that should stop them. They fight like the cage is a crime scene, and they are the only one leaving. Tony Ferguson was the UFC's psycho. His record is 25-11. At his peak between 2013 and 2019, he won 12 consecutive fights in a streak that included victories over Rafael dos Anjos, Edson Barboza, Anthony Pettis, and Donald Cerrone. His style was chaos. He would throw spinning elbows from impossible angles. He would get cut open and then lick the blood off his gloves. He would talk to his opponents while hitting them. His fight against Anthony Pettis at UFC 229 was one of the bloodiest fights in UFC history, and Ferguson seemed to enjoy every second of it. He was not fighting to win.
He was fighting to inflict damage, and he did not care how much he took in return. Diego Sanchez in his later years became a psycho too. He would walk into the cage screaming, throw flying knees from the opening bell, and swing wildly, regardless of what was coming back at him. The psycho does not have a game plan. The psycho is the game plan. The drone. The drone does not get excited. They do not get angry. They do not showboat or taunt or celebrate. They just work. Every round is the same. Same pace, same output, same approach. From the first minute to the 15th. They grind opponents down not with power or explosiveness, but with relentless consistency. Merab Dvalishvili is the ultimate drone. His record is 20-4. He won the Bantamweight Championship by beating Sean O'Malley at UFC 306. Merab throws more strikes per minute and attempts more takedowns per fight than almost any fighter in UFC history. His cardio is inhuman. He pushes a pace that breaks fighters who are fitter than most professional athletes. He does not have knockout power. He does not have flashy submissions. He just keeps going and going until his opponent cannot keep up. Every round with Merab looks the same because every round with Merab is exhausting and there is no break. Colby Covington fights the same way. His record is 17-4. He pushes a wrestling-heavy pace that drowns opponents over 5 rounds. He threw 541 significant strikes against Robbie Lawler. He went 5 hard rounds with Kamaru Usman twice. The drone is not exciting, but the drone is relentless, and the drone is always in your face. Happy to be there.
This is the fighter who has no business being in the octagon with their opponent, but they showed up anyway. They took the fight on short notice. They are a regional circuit fighter getting their first UFC opportunity. They know they are probably going to lose, but they are happy to be there. They smile during the walkout. They high-five the cameraman. They look at the crowd like they cannot believe this is real. And then the fight starts, and reality hits. Chase Hooper was happy to be there when he debuted in the UFC at 19 years old. He lost his first 2 UFC fights by unanimous decision, but he kept smiling, kept showing up, and eventually found his groove with 7 wins in the promotion. CM Punk was the most famous example of happy to be there. The professional wrestler got a UFC contract based on name recognition alone. He had never competed in professional MMA. His record is 0-2. Mickey Gall submitted him in the first round at UFC 203, and then Mike Jackson beat him by unanimous decision at UFC 225. CM Punk was not a fighter. He was a fan who got to live out a dream, and everyone watching knew it. He was happy to be there. The crowd was happy he was there, and everyone was happy when it was over.